Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Empowered to Live. I am your host, Andrea Rose Butler of the Becoming Woman's Network. Thank you all for joining me again this evening. I so appreciate you coming in. Happy Thursday evening to everyone. Hope you all had a great day today and just enjoying whatever God had for you for this day, no matter what it may have looked like. And so I am learning in this season to just be grateful for whatever comes my way. I keep hearing all this week, and everything give thanks, and everything give thanks. And I'm like, God, but I'm not thankful for everything. But I'm learning that in everything that we are to give Him thanks and to be grateful, no matter what it looks like. And that kind of brought me to where we are today. And so we are in part two of getting your financial house in order. And as part of our New Year's, New You, we're talking about finances. And I know it's a touchy subject for a lot of people. And so we want to tackle that, but I don't want it to be something that's scary, but we want it to be something that you embrace in this new season. And I know, especially with the economy, economists are always talking about all the scary things that are out there, all the stuff that's going on. The stock market is doing this, and we may be entering into a new depression, and all these different things that are out there that so many people are being laid off from their jobs, and people are afraid. I get it. Even though I'm not living in the United States, it still affects me because I am still a U.S. citizen. And so when I see, when I'm watching the news and I'm seeing all the things that are going on, and trade wars and tariffs and this and that, and the stocks are doing like this, and for us in Mexico, the pesos is doing this up and down as well. It gets concerning, but I know that whatever it is, that God is in control. And so, I'm always grateful for, again, whatever comes, whatever goes, whatever happens that doesn't happen, that God is in control of it all. And I just want to encourage you with that today, that, God is in control. He allowed things to happen for a reason. And we don't always understand or see why. I'm like, God, why did you let this happen? And we may never know on this side of the dirt why He allows certain things to happen. And so, all we can do is say, God, you've got a plan. I don't know what that plan is, but I trust you that you are working it out for my good, and I can believe you that you are doing just what you said you were going to do. And so we can be encouraged with what's going on, no matter how terrible it looks like, all the things that are happening that are so out of our control. Um, heard Stephen Furtick this morning, Pastor Furtick was talking about this morning. I will bless the Lord at all times, and His praises will continue to be in my mouth. And he was talking about when David wrote that psalm, it was after he had come through his 7 years of being chased by Saul. Saul was trying to kill him, and when he got to the end of it, his thought was, "I'm going to die," but he said, "My soul is going to make his boast in the Lord." And so when we look at what our thoughts say, and then what our soul knows, is that God is in control. So I just wanted to, I don't know who needed to hear this today. That's that part of what we are talking about tonight. But I think somebody needed to be encouraged that no matter what it looks like, God is in control, and that we should be just give Him a heart of praise, a heart of gratitude, because we don't know how He's going to move. And so when we see all the things, the news cycle and all this stuff coming on, and everybody's got an opinion about something, trust God. So that's just what I want, and I felt like I want my heart to share. Just trust God. Trust God. We don't know why we can't. It's out of our control. So trust Him because He's in control of it all. Again, I just wanted to encourage somebody. I don't know who needed to know that, or who needed to hear that, or who needed to be reminded of that fact, that we can trust God because He is in control. He is still King of Kings. He's still Lord of Lords. He's still on the throne. He did not get disposed, you know, when whoever came into office. He's still there. He's still on the throne. So just be encouraged tonight. So we're talking about getting your financial house in order. And last week we talked about, how your money story was developed. And this week we're going to continue kind of that same um, vein of kind of that money story of whether or not you have a scarcity or an abundant money mindset. And it makes a difference in how you see the world. Remember that mindset towards money is our feelings, our thoughts, and our attitudes towards money, how we feel about it, how we use it, how we view it, whether or not it is a resource or not. And so just to, again, you know, coming back on part two of our money story, not our money story, but getting our financial house in order. And so when we look at that money mindset, we're going to first look about what a scarcity mindset is. And, we always got to define it because everybody has their different views or ideas or what they think it is, but what actually is having a scarcity mindset. And researching it says it's a psychological state um, where we believe there is not enough money, leading to fear, anxiety, and limiting financial choices. So this is a belief that we have that there's just not enough money. And again, it may be part of your money story where you heard, your parents said, we don't have enough money. Money doesn't grow on trees, or you hear the arguments or discussions that were taking place around you as you were growing up as a child, and maybe, you were in a place where, money was scarce. There was a thing that, there was a shortage or a perceived shortage of financial resources in your household. Maybe you were homeless. Maybe, you were on government assistance, and all these different things played into your thoughts and your beliefs and your attitudes around money. So it instilled in you fear or anxiety, and about that there was limitation on your choices. I told y'all before, I told y'all last week when I used to tell my kids when they was like, can I have this? And I'm like, when you get a job. And so, that's again, not knowing, so we know we always go from the place of what we know and what we believe to be true, because, they wanted things that I knew it was a need and not a want. And so, I would, God would provide for our needs. And every now and then we will get the wants. But my focus was on what do we need right now? What do we need to survive and to go through? And so while we were living in that place of survival, where, for me, there was some anxiety because I was like, God, I don't know where this money is going to come from. But I was reminded and always reminded that how God moved in that moment was like the widow of Zarephath, where the prophet was like, give me this, make me something to eat. And she's like, all I have is this little bit of oil and a little bit of meal. My son and I are going to eat this, and we're going to lay down and die. And so you may have that mindset where, I want to have a little bit and I'm just going to eat this, lay down and die. And it's just, everything is over. My world's falling apart. And so it increases that anxiety, and we pass that message on to our children as well. So we fear lack. And so we're constantly worried about the lack of money, even if we're financially stable. So even if you got a good job, you're making six figures, but because you have that money story of lack and scarcity, that fear and that anxiety is always there, no matter how much you make. So you could have $1 million or $1 billion, and you're always going to think, what if this runs out? What if I lose it? And so we have that fear. So we focus on what's missing. So we're feeling inadequate about what is lacking versus on what we do have. And so we can look at it and say, all my needs are met. I may not have all my wants, but I got a roof over my head. and I'm paying my rent every day. I have a car that gets me from point A and point B, doesn't break down, that's in good working condition. We're eating every day. We're eating 3 meals a day, whatever, even desserts and all these different things. I may not be able to go out and eat every day or once a week or whatever. I don't have that right now. And so we're not focusing on what the things that we actually have instead of the things that we don't have. And so we have that focus again. So we have difficulties with being generous. We can't give anything away because if I give it to you, then I'm definitely not going to have anything. Same, we know with the widow of Zarephath, she was just like, I can't give you this. This is all I have. This is the last of what I have. And so therefore, if I give it to you, then what is my son and I going to eat? We don't have anything else. And so she kind of had that scarcity mindset of, I don't have any more resources and there's nothing coming. We're in a famine and we're struggling. And that may be your situation today where you feel like, I'm barely making it. I heard a comedian says that he's not living paycheck to paycheck, he's living paycheck to hope. Because of the fact that, maybe there are some things we talked a little bit last week and the week before also. Sometimes we've overextended ourselves, or, we're consuming everything. And so we have nothing left over. And so we're in this time where we're living in fear because of that. We have negative beliefs. Again, we're not going to make it. So we have difficulty saving. We fear spending. And we're constantly worried about money. So we go to bed, we wake up, and we're just always just afraid of the fact that we don't have, we're lacking, we're not having any of those things, and so we are fearful about the things that we have and the things that we don't have, and conversely, we're looking at now what is an abundant mindset, and it's interesting to me that in researching that scarcity was a psychological state, but abundance wasn't a belief. And so there was just that difference. And I thought, well, wow, that this is like, psychologically, this is how we feel. And so it's more of a state of, it's not even it's a state of mind. So it's more psychological because it's real, but it's because it's fear. We have that saying that fear is false evidence appearing real. And so we focus in on the fact that what we don't have. And so more of this is an abundant mindset is a belief that there is ample resources and opportunities, which fosters a positive outlook on money. So we're positive about our money by the way we see it, the things that we have. And so we're not there where scarcity focuses on limitation. We're seeing the glass half empty versus half full. Same thing, you got the same glass, everybody's seeing the same stuff, but when you are that scarcity mindset, you don't see that, there could be more coming. We see it and it's going away versus it's coming to me. And so it's a belief that there is plenty, that is more than enough, and you always have what you need. So you'll always, like I said, you always have what you need. And I think it back to, those days when I was in that place of financial lack, and how, I guess I've always had an abundant mindset that, God is going to take care of me. I always gave. I gave not only of my time, my talents, my resources. I shared before that I was feeding people even when I was struggling. We would have like prayer meetings at my house, and I'm always cooking. I would cook and take it to work. And I'm like, yeah, I was struggling. I'm thinking stuff to work. What? We need this too. But I guess in my mind, I've always had that belief that if you give, that, the scripture says, if you give and it shall be given back to you in good measure, pressed down, shaken again, and running over, will men pour into your bosom. So you have to have that mindset of that, even if I don't, that widow's mite, that you give out of your lack versus out of your abundance. And when you do that, that you're sowing seeds that, that will grow up and reap a harvest. And I think now at this stage in my life, I feel like I'm reaping the harvest of the seeds that I have sown in the past. And so when we look at that, we are able to believe that you always have what you need. We did things, and I want to share some things that I did, in that period of time that really helped shape, I think, even uh, to some degree how my children's belief, because you know they kind of knew that we didn't have a lot, but I made it so that it wasn't a discussion that we had about what we didn't have. And so we would do things that I think just kind of fostered even their love of traveling. We didn't have money, but I would save up what little we had, and I would do these trips. I used to call them trips to nowhere. And so I would, take a vacation day and, pick them up from school, or they were out of school. And I would pick them up early, and we would just get in the car and drive to till I got tired, and we got a hotel room. They were to play in the pool. We would go to places like Shoney. Kids ate free, so I would feed myself. Kids ate free, so they got what they wanted. They got dessert. They got food. They ate until they were full, and we spent the night in the hotel and get up the next morning and turn around and drove back home. And so it gave them the opportunity to experience that kind of lifestyle of being able to travel and to experience that. And they didn't know that we didn't have money. And, I would pack a picnic lunch. I would put stuff together and we get in the car. And it was just an adventure that we would do. And so maybe you say, I don't have, but what can you do? So look at those and try to change. So one of the things about changing from a scarcity mindset to that abundant mindset is about changing your thinking. We used to say in the military, we got to change our stinking thinking. So we got to change the way we think about what we don't have and say, what do you have in your hand? What do I have that I can use? What resources do I have? I would make dinners and sell them when they needed to go on mission trips and all these different things, make gift baskets. Shopping at dollar store, I learned how to make gift baskets. I learned how to make wreaths and how to make floral arrangements and all of these different things of things that, what creativity do you have? What can you do that you can make money and even turn it into something that could possibly be a business? We're talking about how the economy sucks right now and people are losing their jobs and people are afraid. But what can you do to grow yourself as a business? What gift do you have in your hand that you can use to, start it as a business, start small and then scale, so kind of think about what are those things that you can do to be able to grow and so you're not dependent and kind of help with that mindset. I had a friend, she started small as well. She used to make dinners in her home and sell them back in the day. Now she's got a thriving business where she's catering for universities and all these different things that she's doing now, where she started out small, just trying to make it and make ends meet. And that's something that she would do. And now she is thriving at doing that. She's, making meals now for the homeless. She's, on a given week, she's doing like hundreds of meals that she's given out. And it started out as something small because she had a need and she just developed a way that she could make money. And now she's got it as a business where she's flourishing in doing that. And so, what do you have in your hand that God can use? Just like that widow, she had, that little bit of oil, a little bit of meal, she gave it away. And during the 3 years of the famine, she never lacked anything. So again, we want to take that risk. So opportunity focus, so you're open to grow opportunities and are willing to take risks. They say no risk, no reward. So what are you willing to expand yourself in and, doing it afraid, starting small and being able to expand what you're doing, stay positive. So that's a tool for opportunities when we're positive. When we start thinking about, I don't lack anything. I have all that I need, and I have it in abundance, and I will walk in that. And we start walking that out. So look for those opportunities to grow. So you have a savings plan. I shared last week, and I was also sharing with our guest that's coming up on the 27th. I was sharing with her the other day about how, when again, making $7 an hour and I was only working 20 hours, had two kids that were, in daycare. They were going to school, but they had after school because I had to work. And, so they did before school and after school care because we needed, sometimes they would ask us to stay extra hours. So there was something that, I had to do. So I needed to have that child care in place. And I would start out and I told her, I said, I was doing, I opened a savings account for each of us, and I was putting in, at one point it was like $1 a pay period into each of our accounts. And then as my income changed, then it was like $5, and then it was like $10, and then it was 20, and then 25, and then 30, and I just kept scaling. So every time my income changed and it increased. And so this was like an automatic thing that it came directly from my paycheck. I didn't see it. And so I planned on what I got, and so it automatically went. So what's one of the things to change that? Set up those automatic savings where you're putting that money aside, participating in that 401k if you have it, getting that employer match so you're not leaving money on the table, giving and doing all the things that you need. Also, invest in your personal growth. Maybe you're wanting a different job and you're just like, I can't, maybe you're working in a fast food restaurant. There's nothing wrong with that. I worked at McDonald's. We, do what you have to do to make sure that you're able to take care of your family. But maybe you're like, this is something I want to do. I want to grow and I want to improve myself. I want to change jobs. And maybe college is not in your future. Maybe you're not a good student. Not everyone is, but there are opportunities for you to do that. And as I was thinking about that, there's like Coursera, where they have free classes that you can take. Moby, again in Santa Clara, is another one. The University of South Florida has some self-paced free courses that you can take. Going to the library and checking out some of the classes that they have and different resources and community events that they're offering training of some kind for you to be able to take those and grow those skills so that you can improve yourself. And that's all part of the abundant mindset. I didn't come here to stay, but I know that there's greater for me, so therefore I'm going to improve myself. Taking classes, I used to tell my staff, when we were come for performance, and one of the things that they had was that professional development piece. And I told myself, I don't care what you do, as long as you're improving yourself. I said, I don't care if you do, I take a course in basket weaving, knitting, whatever, you're learning a skill and that counts. And so how can you improve yourself? What's something that you've always wanted to do and find out a way that you can get it done? And again, there are classes out there, there are resources that may be low or no cost to you that you can take to improve yourself and improve your skills so that you can grow and do more and improve yourself and increase your income and all those different things that's out there. So start looking of not what I don't have, but what do I have in my hand? And what, if I don't have it in my hand, how can I get it in my hand? And how can I learn and grow? So we want to take that. So look at those things. So make conscious financial decisions. I shared that last week as well, that a lot of times we're consumers. We feel like we have to get the latest, the greatest, and we'll go into debt trying to get those things. And then we find ourselves stuck and we become prisoners to a job or a person because of the fact that we don't have a way out, because we've spent so much that we are so far in debt. So look at ways that you can consciously make those financial decisions. Is it necessary that you spend $100 on a meal that will end up in the toilet? No. Find ways that you can enjoy yourself without getting yourself into debt. Don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses, because the Joneses are already in trouble themselves. And so you don't know what their financial house looks like. And so you don't have to look like them. Figure out ways, to do some things. And it's going to take sacrifice. And so what I do, and I've taught my kids this, make things a treat. You don't have to go out to eat every week, but maybe once a week, maybe once a month, sorry, not once a week, or maybe once every other month, plan it. What I did was I had a separate checking account that I called my self-care fund. And I had 5% of my pay every pay period go to that account. And that was my money. If I wanted to go shopping, if I wanted to go out to eat, if I wanted to get my nails done, if I wanted to get my hair done or whatever, I put 5% there. And so it didn't affect my household money or any of those things. And this was a separate account from everything else. And so this way, when I spent it, I didn't feel bad. Sometimes this is what I would use to put gas in my car. Different things like that you can do, where they tell you about paying yourself so you don't feel like, I'm just stuck. I can't have fun. I can't do anything, and plan out events. Again, there are so many free things that you can do that is enjoyable. Going to the museum, going to the park. Groupon has like these scavenger hunts. Look at ways that you can have fun without spending hundreds of dollars, but you're still enjoying yourself and you're still being able to make those conscious financial decisions in how you get out of debt, raising your credit score, all of those different things that matter, because all of those things affect, they affect your car insurance. It affects sometimes even your employment. You're trying to find a better job, and sometimes employers are looking at your credit score, and you're like, why didn't I get that job? That's something that they can look at and they can see, what it is that you're doing, what's your lifestyle. So make sure, again, that you're trying to make that conscious, and it's all about starting small. And again, it may be about sacrificing, do I really need, Starbucks every day on my way to work? That's like $6 to get it, depending on the size that you get, and you're doing it every day. It adds up. Could you have put it in savings? Could you have paid off a debt? So look at, again, those ways that you can do that. Again, I talk about setting up automatic savings, taking it out, and I used to put two different banks. So I had my household goes to one where the bulk of my pay went. And then I used the credit union, and that's where my I call it, my self-care fund went to. And so they were two separate banks. So there was no crossing. So they don't have to overdraft or any of those things, because they were in two separate banks that only talked to each other electronically, but they weren't connected. And it kept me from temptation as well. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. So let me just put no. It's like what was in there was in there. And that's what I spent. I didn't spend it all off. But I would take off and do something. Oh, I want to get my nails done. Oh, I want to go get my hair done. Oh, I want to go out to eat. Somebody says, let's go out to lunch. And I'm going to have to go, if I go to lunch, then I can't pay my rent, And so we started looking at different things like that. But I knew I had this. So somebody said, oh, let's go out to lunch. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I know that I had money there and I was saving it up. And, I had, then as I grew in that, I opened the second one that was for vacation funds. And I would, use the roundup, and then I would take money from that account and put a percentage into my vacation fund so that we have money for when we wanted to go on vacation. So we do a domestic trip, and then, every couple of years we've done an international trip. And so we make sure that we saved up and we planned out how to take care of all of those things. So you were still able to do the things, you were still able to enjoy yourself, use coupons, all those things. Look for discounts. I have no problem going, do you guys have a discount? Hey, a military discount? I went to the VA. I had them laughing so hard. Went to the VA and said, do you have some military discount at the VA? And she was, they just started laughing. It was just a thought. I was just like, do you offer a military discount here at the VA? And she was like, no. I was like, okay. I said, never hurts to ask. And so a lot of companies have those things that you just don't know. Or, if you're over like me, over 55, they're over 55 days at a lot of stores and different things like that. So look for those things. Join, like Kroger has their Kroger rewards, and save on fuel and save on groceries, and use those coupons. That's what they're there for. And look for reduced, and some might have a whole nother training on things that you can do, that you can still live well and be out of debt. And it's important that we, in this empowered life, that we don't find ourselves, again, so tied up that we cannot make a move because we are slaves to debt. And so we want to make sure that we are out of debt. So another thing is to again, like I said, be grateful, practice gratitude, and think about that, and be faithful over the little. So whatever it is that you have, wherever the struggle is, we're talking again this month and into next month about how do we get our financial house in order? How can we live this empowered life that we're not living in that place where we can't see up? And so we want you to have that life, that empowered life. Remember that God has given us everything that we need to live not only in this life, but to also live godly. And so how do we get the two of those to work together? And so join me again next week as we continue our series on getting your financial house in order. And on the 27th, I'll be joined by Rita Stewart of Legacy Financial. So look out for information on that. She's going to be doing a two-part series on Beyond the Bag. So next week we're talking about how to secure your bag, and then the week after and the weeks next following week how to live beyond just working and making money, but how do you actually have that money work for you? So stay tuned for that. Again, thank you so much again for joining me for another night, another episode of Empower to Live. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great night. Thank you. Bye.